On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Combination.
A collection of things that have been combined, an assemblage of separate parts or qualities.
Examples:
Genic combinations. Combination number. The combination to the safe was a secret.
Accident.
An unfortunate event, especially one causing damage or injury.
Examples:
Cause an accident. Injury in a car accident. The accident partially destroyed my vehicle.
Cosmic.
Relating to the universe or cosmos, vast or limitless.
Examples:
Second cosmic velocity. Cosmic background radiation. Cosmic rays are high-energy particles that originate from outside the solar system.
Chef.
A cook, especially the chief cook in a restaurant or hotel.
Examples:
Chef knife. Master chef. The chef at the restaurant was known for his creative and delicious dishes.
Bistro.
A small, informal restaurant or cafe, typically serving simple, home-style meals or light refreshments.
Examples:
French bistro. Cozy bistro. We decided to have a quick lunch at the neighborhood bistro.
Ethnic.
Relating or belonging to a group of people who share a cultural tradition.
Examples:
Ethnic minority. Single ethnic group. Each ethnic group has its unique rituals.
Modern.
Of or belonging to the present time or recent times.
Examples:
Modern poetry. Pre-modern agricultural society. Their headquarters are in a modern skyscraper.
Well-established.
Firmly established and widely recognized, having a long history of success or acceptance in a particular field or industry.
Examples:
Well-established company. Well-established tradition. The restaurant is well established in the community, having been open for over 50 years.
Mom and pop.
Describing a small, family-owned and operated business or enterprise, typically characterized by personalized service and involvement of family members in day-to-day operations.
Examples:
Mom and pop grocery. Mom and pop restaurant. We prefer to shop at mom and pop stores instead of big box chains to support local businesses.
Cuisine.
The style of cooking characteristic of a particular country, region, or establishment.
Examples:
Bistro-style cuisine. Cuisine taste. Italian cuisine is known for its use of fresh ingredients and bold flavors.
Influence.
The ability to affect someone's or something's character, growth, or behavior, or the effect itself.
Examples.
Influence a child's future. Influence the daily life. The former emperor had a particular influence even after he abdicated.
President.
The leader of a republic, for example, the U.S., the person in charge of the organization, such as a company, university, club, etc.
Examples.
President Emeritus. Vice President for Finance. The club president does not have absolute power.
Nickname.
A familiar or humorous name given to a person or thing instead of or as well as the real name.
Examples.
Endearing nickname. Nickname for a person. The team has a nickname for their star player, the Ace.
Poet.
A person who writes poetry.
Examples.
A court poet. A poet of sorts. She is a talented poet who has been recognized for her work.
Universal.
Existing or affecting everywhere or everyone.
Examples.
Universal life. Principles of universal design. The picture earned near universal acclaim from critics.
Communal.
Belonging to or used by a group rather than individuals, for common use.
Examples.
Communal swimming pool. Communal combination of funds. Communal elections were held in several European countries.
Contribution.
The act of giving something, especially money, to a particular cause or organization, a voluntary gift as of money or service or ideas made to some worthwhile cause.
Examples.
Make a positive contribution. Contribution to society. His contribution to the charity was a generous donation of money.
Rendezvous.
A meeting or appointment that has been arranged beforehand, a gathering of people in a prearranged location.
Examples.
Romantic rendezvous. Business rendezvous. Our rendezvous point was the coffee shop on the corner.
Concept.
An idea or principle associated with something abstract.
Examples.
Learn new concepts. Concept car. One such rapidly growing concept is quantum cryptography.
Resonate.
To be filled with a deep echoing sound.
Examples.
Deeply resonate with the consumers. Resonate in the same frequency. The sound resonates well in this theater.
Yearn.
To strongly desire or long for something.
Examples:
Yearn after my old days. Yearn for love. She yearned for the days when things were simpler.
Opportune.
Suitable or happening at a time that is suitable or convenient for a particular purpose.
Examples:
Opportune occasion. An opportune remark. The phone rang at the most opportune time.
Origin.
The first existence or beginning of something.
Examples:
Origin of all humankind. A manuscript of uncertain origin. There are various hypotheses concerning the origin of life.
Ancestor.
A person from whom one is descended, a forefather.
Examples:
Ancestor language. Earliest human ancestor. My remote ancestor immigrated to the United States from Ireland in the 1800s.
Contribute.
To give something, especially money or goods, to provide or achieve something together with other people.
Examples:
Contribute a large sum of money to the fund. Contribute to society. Government workers cannot contribute to political campaigns.
Rediscover.
To discover or find again something that was previously known but lost.
Examples:
Rediscover a value. Rediscover an old truth. The painting was rediscovered in an attic and turned out to be a long-lost masterpiece.
Ancient.
Relating to the long ago, particularly the historical period preceding the fall of the Western Roman Empire, very old.
Examples:
Pre-Christian ancient. Ancient stories. They have been living near water since ancient times.
Grain.
Wheat or any other small hard seeds used as a food, a relatively small granular particle of a substance.
Examples:
A grain of sand. Flour made from grain. Ordinary air purifiers cannot adequately remove pollen grains.
Fonio.
A type of small, ancient grain that is grown and consumed in West Africa and is known for its nutritional value and ability to grow in harsh environments.
Examples:
Fonio grain. Gluten-free fonio. Many people in Africa rely on fonio as a staple food source.
Disappear.
To cease to exist or be visible.
Examples:
Disappear without a trace. Disappear after a week. They watched the train disappear into the distance.
Urban.
Relating to or located in a town or city. Urban planning. Urban property owners. Only a small number of urban utilities offer sanitation services.
Diet.
The food and drink that a person, animal, or community eats and drinks regularly, a legislative assembly in certain countries, for example, Japan.
Examples:
Eat a vegetarian diet. Diet approval. A balanced diet is more important for health than supplements.
Cult.
A small religious group, especially one that is not part of a larger religion and that is regarded as outside the norm, followers of an exclusive system of beliefs and practices.
Examples:
Cult members. Cult's practices. The cult leader promised his followers that they would achieve enlightenment if they followed his teachings.
Cereal.
A type of grain used for food, such as wheat, oats, or corn that is typically ground into flour, cooked into porridge, or used to make breakfast cereals.
Examples:
Cereal grain. Cold cereal. I always start my morning with a bowl of cereal.
Continent.
One of the Earth's large landmasses. Adjective, abstaining from your feelings, especially your desire to have sex.
Examples:
The inland of a continent. Continent urinary diversion. Flight across the continent was a daring adventure in its day.
Archaeology.
The branch of anthropology that studies prehistoric people and their cultures.
Examples:
The Institute of Archaeology. Prehistoric archaeology. She teaches archaeology at the local university.
Pyramid.
A polyhedron having a polygonal base and triangular sides with a common vertex, a massive monument with a square base and 4 triangular sides, begun by Cheops around 2700 BC as royal tombs in ancient Egypt.
Examples:
Pyramid architecture. A truncated pyramid. The Egyptian pyramids consist of a vast number of blocks.
Burial.
The act or ceremony of placing a dead body in a grave.
Examples:
Burial at sea. A round burial mound. The burial ceremony was a somber reminder of his passing.
Semi-arid.
Characterized by receiving only a small amount of rainfall or having relatively low precipitation, resulting in a climate that is somewhat dry yet not completely arid, partly dry or having moderate moisture.
Examples:
Semi-arid climate. Semi-arid grassland. The plants in the semi-arid region require minimal water to survive.
Desert.
Arid land with little or no vegetation, often covered with sand or rocks.
Examples:
Desert basin. Oasis in the desert. This region is predominantly desert.
Extend.
To broaden in scope, range, or area.
Examples:
Extend the warranty. Extend a line. Her visit will extend from Monday to Friday.
Atlantic.
Relating to or located near the Atlantic Ocean, which is the second largest ocean on Earth, located between the continents of North and South America to the west and Europe and Africa to the east.
Examples:
Atlantic breeze. Atlantic salmon. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June to November each year.
Deem.
To consider or decide something in a particular way.
Examples:
Deem socially responsible. Deem wrong or inappropriate. Regarding earthquakes, some commercial buildings were deemed unsafe.
Afterlife.
Life after death, as believed in many cultures and religious traditions.
Examples:
Afterlife name. Corporate afterlife. The belief in an afterlife comforted those mourning the loss of their loved ones.
Myth.
An ancient story or set of stories accepted as history, especially explaining the worldview of a people.
Examples:
The myth of an old religion. Perpetuate a myth. With the financial bubble bursting, the myth of economic growth in investment banking collapsed.
Superstition.
A belief or practice that is not based on science or reason and that is often connected with a religion.
Examples:
Superstition in religion. Believe in superstition. There is a surviving superstition that black cats are a symbol of bad luck.
Universe.
Everything that exists, especially all physical matter, including planets, stars, galaxies, and all other forms of matter and energy.
Examples:
Theory of the universe. Expansion of the universe. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old.
Mythology.
A collection of myths equals traditional stories accepted as history, or the study of myths.
Examples:
Tale from mythology. Ancient mythology. He studies Greek and Roman mythology.
Sprout.
To grow or develop new parts, typically leaves or shoots, from a plant, to emerge, develop, or arise gradually or suddenly.
Examples:
Sprout seeds. Sprout wings. The flowers in the garden began to sprout after the first rain of the season.
Purported.
Claimed or said to be true, but not yet proven or confirmed.
Examples:
purported evidence. A purported biography. The purported cure for the disease has yet to be proven effective.
Mystical.
Relating to or characterized by spiritual powers, beyond ordinary understanding.
Examples:
Mystical intuition. Mystical belief. While meditating, he had a mystical experience and felt a sense of unity with the universe.
Miracle.
An act or occurrence that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws and is therefore believed to be caused by God.
Examples:
Miracle person. Economic miracle. The doctor said that her recovery was a miracle.
Aspect.
One part or feature of a situation, problem, subject, etc.
Examples:
Non-technical aspects of the job. Aspects of social, political, and economic life. His professional experience includes all aspects of media production.
Methionine.
An essential amino acid that is important for protein synthesis and various metabolic processes in living organisms.
Examples:
Methionine metabolism. Dietary methionine. Foods such as eggs, meat, and fish are rich in methionine sources.
Cysteine.
An amino acid that contains a sulfhydryl group, SH, and plays a crucial role in protein structure and function.
Examples:
Cysteine-rich protein. Cysteine synthesis. Research suggests that cysteine supplementation may have potential benefits for respiratory health.
Amino.
Compounds and functional groups that contain a basic nitrogen atom with a lone pair, NH2, that combine to make protein.
Examples:
Amino compound. Amino acid. This company was granted a patent for its amino resin manufacturing process.
Acid.
Sour, water-soluble chemicals with a sour flavor, any of a variety of generally liquid compounds capable of reacting with and occasionally dissolving other materials.
Examples:
An acid reaction. Good source of essential amino acids. During pregnancy, the stomach generates less acid than usual.
Deficient.
Lacking something needed or normal.
Examples:
Deficient nutrient. Mentally deficient. His diet was deficient in essential vitamins and minerals.
Barley.
A type of cereal grain that is used for food either in the form of whole grains, flour, or malt.
Examples:
Barley field. Barley crop. The fields were ripe with barley, ready for harvest.
Wheat.
A cereal plant that is the most important kind grown in temperate countries, the grain of which is ground to make flour for bread, pasta, pastry, etc.
Examples:
harvesting wheat, wheat crop. The farmer grew wheat on his land.
Addition:
the act or process of adding something to something else, the process of adding numbers.
Examples:
chemical addition, addition of vectors. In addition, private corporations provide healthcare services.
Cultivation:
the process of preparing and using land for growing crops or plants, often involving tilling, fertilizing, and irrigating the soil, the act of fostering or developing something, such as a skill, talent, or idea.
Examples:
agricultural cultivation, land cultivation. The cultivation of crops is a vital part of agriculture in many countries.
Environment:
the natural world such as air, water, and land in which humans, animals, and plants live.
Examples:
environment affairs, chaotic environment. Every human is responsible for taking care of the Earth's environment.
Tolerate:
to allow something to exist or happen, even if it is disliked or opposed.
Examples:
tolerate his disrespectful behavior. Tolerate ambiguity. I can't tolerate spicy food, and it always gives me heartburn.
Soil:
the top layer of earth in which plants grow.
Examples:
soils retentive of moisture. Parched soil. Soil moisture is another significant component controlling soil respiration.
Survive:
to live or exist despite a dangerous event or period.
Examples:
survive a blizzard. Survive a plane crash. These birds can only survive in temperate climates.
Strike:
to wallop somebody or something with the hand, fist, or weapon, to have an emotional or cognitive impact upon.
Examples:
strike up a conversation. Strike a blow. We strike to achieve more wages and safer working conditions.
Versatile:
able to do many things in different fields, having many talents.
Examples:
provide a versatile solution. A versatile writer. He's a versatile actor who has acted in various parts.
Delicious:
exceptionally pleasing to taste or smell.
Examples:
delicious breeze. Variety of delicious foods. We could grill the meat in a delicious way.
Earthy:
relating to or like earth or soil, not far removed from or suggestive of nature.
Examples:
An earthy sense of humor. Earthy material. This building used earthy elements such as stone, brick, and wood.
Flavor.
The taste sensation produced by a substance in the mouth.
Examples:
A delicate flavor. Flavor enhancer. The flavor of the coffee was rich and full-bodied.
Substitute.
A person or thing acting or serving instead of another one. Verb, to act as a something or someone instead of another one.
Examples:
Substitute coffee. Substitute teacher. I substitute skim milk for regular milk because we are on a strict diet.
Recipe.
A set of instructions for preparing a dish, including the ingredients and the method of cooking.
Examples:
Recipe book. Recipe collection. The recipe for the cake is passed down from generation to generation in her family.
Sushi.
A Japanese dish consisting of vinegared rice, often combined with fish or vegetables, and sometimes wrapped in seaweed.
Examples:
Sushi bar. Sushi roll. I love going out for sushi with my friends on Friday nights.
Okra.
Also known as lady's fingers, a vegetable with edible green pods that are long and slim, often used in soups, stews, and various cuisines worldwide.
Examples:
Okra recipe. Fried okra. I added some grilled okra to the gumbo for added flavor and texture.
Murmur.
To say something very quietly, to complain about somebody or something under one's breath.
Examples:
Murmur at low wages. Murmur a greeting. He always murmurs at the ill treatment.
Royalty.
Revenue derived from the use of a patent, copyright, or other right, the people who are the family of a king and queen.
Examples:
A grandchild of royalty. Royalty income. The royalty payments for the use of the patented technology were quite high.
Locate.
To specify or determine the exact position of someone or something.
Examples:
Locate a missing pet. Locate a tumor. The robot can accurately locate construction material.
Guinea.
A former British gold coin worth 21 shillings, or a unit of currency used in some West African countries. Guinea, a republic in Western Africa on the Atlantic.
Examples:
Guinea coins. Guinea pig. The cost of the antique vase is 3 guineas.
Stunning.
causing a strong emotional reaction of admiration, surprise, or shock due to its beauty, rarity, or excellence.
Examples:
Stunning beauty. Stunning disclosure. The stunning sunset took everyone's breath away.
Vista.
A pleasing or expansive view, most often of a landscape or a cityscape, a broad and extensive view or outlook.
Examples:
Vista point. Unobstructed vista. The hike to the top of the mountain offered a breathtaking vista of the surrounding valley.
Poorest.
Having the least wealth or resources.
Examples:
Poorest of the poor. Poorest area. The poorest countries in the world often have the highest rates of malnutrition.
Prospect.
The possibility or likelihood of something happening or being successful, a person or thing that is likely to succeed or become popular, a potential customer or client. Verb, to explore for useful or valuable things or substances, such as minerals.
Examples:
Prospect for gold. Job prospects. The prospect of starting a new business can be both exciting and daunting.
Migration.
The movement of animals to a new location, frequently as the seasons change.
Examples:
The migration of birds. Overseas migration. There was a migration of impoverished farmers into the towns.
Inadequate.
Not sufficient or enough.
Examples:
An inadequate income. Inadequate funding. The small budget was inadequate to cover all the necessary expenses for the project.
Canoe.
A narrow, light boat with pointy ends and no keel that is propelled by a paddle.
Examples:
Canoe race. Make a canoe trip. After the accident, the police found an empty canoe.
Desperate.
Feeling or showing a lack of hope and a willingness to do anything because of the problematic situation.
Examples:
Her desperate screams. Desperate attempt. He was desperate when he lost all his money by gambling.
Attempt.
An act or effort of trying to do something, especially something difficult.
Examples:
The attempt to rescue the hostages. A reckless attempt. The third attempt was far more successful.
Accord.
An official agreement or treaty between two organizations, countries, etc. Verb, allow to have.
Examples:
Accord with public opinion. By national accord. The organization finally signed a peace accord.
Sub-Saharan.
Of or relating to or situated in the area south of the Sahara Desert.
Examples:
Sub-Saharan Africa. Sub-Saharan countries. The coffee producers in sub-Saharan countries are at the sharp end of fluctuations in price.
Migrate.
To move from one country or region to another and settle there. To move from one place to another periodically or seasonally.
Examples:
Migrate across borders. Migrate a service. Many Germans migrated to South America in the mid-19th century.
Migrant.
A traveler who moves from one region or country to another, especially to find work or better living conditions, a bird or an animal that moves from one place to another.
Examples:
Migrant worker. The movement of migrant birds. The government revoked his license to employ migrant labor crews.
Scary.
Causing fear or fright, frightening, intimidating.
Examples:
Scary dream. Scary story. The horror movie was so scary that I couldn't watch it alone.
Scarce.
Not abundant or plentiful, and therefore not easy to find or obtain.
Examples:
Scarce resources. Capital scarce country. Fresh water is becoming increasingly scarce in many parts of the world.
Precarious.
Not securely held or in position, dangerously unstable or uncertain, dependent on chance or uncertain conditions.
Examples:
Precarious job. Precarious financial situation. She had a precarious hold on the ladder and was afraid to move.
Fetch.
To go and bring back something or someone, to retrieve or obtain something.
Examples:
Fetch the mail. Fetch a ball. Could you help me fetch the ball from the other side of the field?
Hospitable.
Friendly and generous to visitors or guests.
Examples:
Hospitable environment. A hospitable welcome. He is a good-natured and hospitable man.
Gluten.
A protein found in wheat, barley, and rye that is responsible for the elastic texture of the dough.
Examples:
Gluten-free diets. Gluten intolerance. Many people with celiac disease must avoid gluten in their diet.
Industrious.
Hardworking, diligent, and persistent in effort.
Examples:
Industrious worker. Industrious student. He was known to be very industrious and would often work late into the night.
Partake.
To participate or share in something, to consume or enjoy food or drink.
Examples:
partake in a celebration, partake in an activity. Let's all partake in the potluck and share our favorite dishes.
Tradition.
A belief, custom, or way of doing something that has been passed down from generation to generation within a group or society.
Examples:
a tradition of a culture. Against tradition. It is a tradition in many families to have a big Thanksgiving dinner with all their relatives.
Process.
A series of actions or operations performed to achieve a particular outcome or goal, a systematic procedure or approach used to accomplish a specific task or objective, a method of treating milk to make it suitable for consumption or use in other dairy products.
Examples:
process improvement, decision-making process. The process for applying for a visa can be lengthy and complicated.
Laborious.
Requiring a lot of effort and time to complete, characterized by tedious or difficult work.
Examples:
laborious routine, laborious project. The construction workers had a laborious job of carrying heavy equipment up several flights of stairs.
Time-consuming.
Requiring a significant amount of time or effort to complete.
Examples:
time-consuming project, time-consuming process. Writing a research paper can be a time-consuming task.
Evolve.
To develop gradually, or to cause the development of something or someone gradually.
Examples:
evolve. Evolve over the past decade. Eyeless fish evolved in dark caves.
Efficient.
Performing at the highest level of productivity with the least wasted effort or resources, capable of achieving maximum output with minimum wasted effort, time, or materials.
Examples:
efficient operation, energy-efficient appliances. The new washing machine is much more efficient than the old one.
Engineer.
A person whose job is designing, building, or maintaining something such as machines, structures, or software.
Examples:
a civil engineer. Engineer shortage. The engineer will repair my telephone tomorrow morning.
Invention.
The creation of a new device or process resulting from study and experimentation, the act of inventing.
Examples:
the invention of new techniques. Common invention. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Mechanized.
Operated or characterized by machinery or automation, equipped with or reliant on machines or technology for operation or function.
Examples:
mechanized farming. Mechanized production. The mechanized assembly line increased production efficiency tenfold.
Colonial.
Of or relating to a colony, equals a territory that is controlled by a more powerful country, to the period of time during which a country or region was a colony.
Examples:
Oppressive colonial rule. Colonial style. The city has a rich colonial history, with many historic buildings and landmarks.
Crop.
A plant that is cultivated in large amounts, particularly for food.
Examples:
Crop field. Crop herbicide. Sow early for an early crop.
Traditionally.
In accordance with tradition, typically or commonly done in a particular way.
Examples:
Traditionally accepted concept. Traditionally sung at a banquet. Traditionally, the ceremony was held outdoors.
Baguette.
A long, narrow loaf of bread, typically with a crispy crust and a soft, light interior, a diamond or gemstone cut in a long, narrow shape.
Examples:
Crusty baguette. Fresh baguette. I bought a delicious baguette from the bakery for dinner.
Croissant.
A crescent-shaped pastry made of laminated dough and often filled with cheese, chocolate, or other ingredients, a popular breakfast pastry in France and other countries.
Examples:
Butter croissant. Delicious croissant. I had a cup of coffee and a croissant for breakfast this morning.
Mindset.
The established set of attitudes or fixed ideas held by someone.
Examples:
Flexible mindset. The mindset in an education system. Countries whose goal is economic development often focus on fostering an entrepreneurial mindset in each individual.
Leftover.
Not consumed or used at the end of something.
Examples:
Leftover from a party. Leftover goods. The chef will make soup with the leftover ham bone.
Debris.
Broken or torn fragments of something.
Examples:
Space debris. Pile of debris. Marine debris is a major continuous global problem.
Introduction.
A preliminary explanation or remarks given before the start of a text, performance, or event, the act of bringing something new into existence or introducing something to a wider audience or new market.
Examples:
Introduction education. Self-introduction. The introduction to the new class was informative and engaging.
Ingredient.
One of the things used to make something, especially one of the foods used to make a particular dish.
Examples:
Secret ingredients. Compound the ingredients. Greed is the primary ingredient in the making of criminals.
Nation.
A large organized community of people living in a particular country or region and having a particular culture.
Examples:
Nation-state. A seafaring nation. The nation of Japan is known for its unique culture and advanced technology.
Replace.
To take the place of something.
Examples:
Replace one word with another. Replace a phone. Eventually, the new design will replace all older models.
Despise.
To feel strong dislike or contempt for someone or something, often because of a perceived fault or failing. To have a low or unfavorable opinion of something.
Examples:
Despise a particular food. Secretly despise. I despise injustice and those who perpetrate it.
Hail.
To call out to someone to get their attention, often from a distance, to greet or welcome someone, especially with enthusiasm or admiration. Noun, precipitation in the form of small balls or lumps of ice that fall from the sky.
Examples:
Hail the victorious team with cheers. Hail forecast. People in the area were forced to hail a taxi due to the lack of public transportation options.
Slave.
A person who is either legally or illegally owned by someone, a person entirely dominated by some influence or a person.
Examples:
A slave of drink. A slave trader. You should work hard but not be a slave to it.
Commitment.
A promise or firm decision to do something or to behave in a certain way.
Examples:
A commitment to an alliance. Meet his commitments. His business commitments took him to the United States.
Chain.
A series of connected links or objects, a system or group of interconnected elements, a restraint or shackle.
Examples:
Chain reaction. Supply chain. The chain on my bike broke, leaving me stranded.
Import.
To bring goods or services into a country from another country. To transfer electronic data into a database or document.
Examples:
Import goods. Import a style sheet. The company imports raw materials from other countries to manufacture its products.
Executive.
A person or group of people with top-level management responsibility in a business or other organization, the branch that is responsible for implementing, administering, and enforcing laws, as well as running the day-to-day operations.
Examples:
Executive editor at the publishing house. Executive vice president. As the executive director of the nonprofit, it's her responsibility to make sure they're meeting their mission goals.
Viability.
The ability of something to be successful or to continue to exist.
Examples:
cellular viability, viability of the business. The project's viability was uncertain, so we put it on hold.
Observe.
To watch or notice something carefully, often to gather information or insights, to take note of something or someone, to celebrate or commemorate a special event or occasion.
Examples:
observe a tradition, observe wildlife. It is important to observe safety procedures in the workplace to prevent accidents.
Vision.
The ability to think about or see the future with imagination and intelligence, the faculty of being able to see.
Examples:
a prodigious vision, telescopic vision. Driving is difficult for me because of my poor vision.
Beneficial.
Helpful, useful, or sound, promoting or enhancing well-being.
Examples:
a beneficial result, beneficial to all countries. Laughing is beneficial to our health.
Commerce.
The activity of buying and selling things, especially on a large scale.
Examples:
interstate commerce, the local chamber of commerce. This company has invested heavily in internet commerce.
Sustainable.
Able to continue or be continued for a long time.
Examples:
sustainable alternative fuel, principles of sustainable development. The government should do more to support environmentally sustainable agriculture.
Achieve.
To successfully complete a task or goal, often through hard work, perseverance, and dedication, to attain or accomplish something that one has set out to do.
Examples:
achieve success, achieve milestones. I will work hard to achieve my goals and realize my dreams.
Backward.
At, to, or toward the direction or place that is behind or rear.
Examples:
walk backward, backward angle. She falls over backward when she sees her mother-in-law.
Consume.
To spend something, especially fuel, energy, or time, in a large amount.
Examples:
consume a large of alcohol, consume electricity. A smaller car will consume less fuel.
Globe.
The earth or world, mainly used to emphasize its vastness.
Examples:
terrestrial globe, around the globe. His final goal is to sail around the globe.
Tout.
To promote, advertise, or praise something or someone, especially excessively or persistently. To attempt to sell something or gain support for something by persuasion or solicitation.
Examples:
Tout products. Tout services. The travel agency is trying to tout their new tour packages to attract more customers.
Nutrition.
The substances or the process that organisms take into their bodies as food for their growth and health.
Examples:
Nutrition condition. Nutrition intake. This food contains all the nutrition your dog requires.
Quinoa.
A grain-like crop grown in South America, often used as a gluten-free grain substitute in cooking and baking, known for its high nutritional value and versatility.
Examples:
Quinoa salad. Quinoa porridge. She prepared a delicious quinoa pilaf with vegetables and herbs.
Consistent.
Always behaving or happening in the same way, or having the same thoughts, standards, etc.
Examples:
Do on a consistent basis. Get consistent results. You are not consistent in your behavior.
Manufacture.
To make goods in large numbers, usually in a factory using machines.
Examples:
Manufacture an enzyme. Manufacture a product. The majority of synthetic vitamins are manufactured from oil.
Adhere.
To stick firmly, to be compatible.
Examples:
Adhere to their plan. Adhere rigidly to the rules. Administrators must adhere to the highest standards.
Efficiently.
In a way that produces maximum output with minimum effort or expense.
Examples:
Efficiently combined. Develop software more efficiently. We can resolve support requests quickly and efficiently by utilization of AI.
Compliance.
The act of following rules or regulations, often willingly or voluntarily. The act of conforming to a set of standards or guidelines.
Examples:
Compliance audit. Regulatory compliance. Conservation groups praised the company's compliance with environmental regulations.
Requirement.
Something that is needed or wanted.
Examples:
Meet requirement. School requirement. What is the entry requirement for this course?
Multinational.
Relating to or involving multiple countries or nationalities, having operations or business interests in multiple countries.
Examples:
Multinational enterprise. Multinational team. The multinational corporation has offices in over 30 countries.
Devote.
To commit or dedicate oneself or one's time, effort, or energy to a particular task or purpose.
Examples:
Devote all of my energies. Devote my own life. He devoted himself to studying the history of ancient civilizations.
Thresh.
To separate the edible parts of grain from the husks or straw by beating or crushing. To strike or beat repeatedly.
Examples:
Thresh wheat. Thresh the large field of barley. The farmer instructed his workers to thresh the harvested crops in the threshing machine.
Winnow.
To separate or remove the undesirable or unnecessary parts of a group or collection. To narrow down or sift through something to find what is useful or valuable.
Examples:
Winnow grain. Winnow out the impractical idea. I need to winnow through these job applications to find the most qualified candidates.
Husk.
The dry, outer covering of a seed, grain, or fruit, such as the shell of a nut or the skin of a corn kernel.
Examples:
Husk removal. Seed husk. The husk of the coconut was removed to reveal the fruit inside.
Untapped.
Not yet used or exploited.
Examples:
Untapped market. Untapped potential. The forest held many untapped resources that could be used for commercial purposes.
Agriculture.
The practice or science of cultivating the land or raising stock.
Examples:
Organic agriculture. Intensive agriculture. Agriculture is the foundation of our economy.
Relieve.
To make something burdensome, unpleasant, or painful less severe.
Examples:
Relieve his thirst. Relieve stress. The medicine relieved his headache, and he felt much better.
Bottleneck.
A narrow or busy section of road or a junction where the traffic often gets slower and stops, anything that slows down development or progress, especially in business or industry.
Examples:
Performance bottleneck. Bottleneck in production. Memory bandwidth is a significant bottleneck in this computational simulation.
Employ.
To give somebody a job and pay them for it, to make use of.
Examples:
Employ job seekers. Employ a new method. When making arrests, police officers frequently employ excessive force.
Climate.
The weather in a particular location averaged over some long period.
Examples:
A cold climate. Effects of climate change. Climate and weather have an impact on every part of our lifestyles.
Mitigate.
To make less severe or less intense, to alleviate or lessen the adverse effects of something.
Examples:
Mitigate risk. Mitigate a natural disaster. Efforts to mitigate the effects of climate change require a coordinated and sustained effort by governments, businesses, and individuals.
Reverse.
To change something's direction, order, position, decision, etc., to the opposite one, adjective, directed or moving toward the rear.
Examples:
Reverse the trend. Reverse the order. The restaurant reversed a ban on smoking.
Attractive.
Immensely appealing in look or sound, having characteristics or qualities that make something appealing and valuable.
Examples:
Attractive men. Attractive opportunity. The growth of the sharing economy is attractive for tech companies.
Desirable.
Worth having or achieving, pleasing, attractive, or sought after.
Examples:
Desirable effect. Desirable result. The beachfront property had a desirable location with stunning ocean views.
Investor.
Someone who puts money or capital into something to gain financial returns.
Examples:
Investor lawsuit. A real estate investor. Institutional investors refrained from buying stocks amid the booming economy.
Recruit.
To persuade someone to work for a company, to find new members for an organization, the armed forces, etc.
Examples:
Recruit a good worker. Recruit a new hire. The colonial government recruited militia support when civil war broke out.
Equip.
To provide a person or a place with the things that are needed for a particular purpose or activity.
Examples:
Equip an army. Equip our children with some special skills. The construction company equipped the building with an earthquake-resistant device.
Small holding.
A small farm or estate that the owner or family typically works, often used to describe a farm that is smaller than a standard agricultural unit.
Examples:
Smallholding farm. Smallholding agriculture. The farmer's smallholding was enough to grow and sell vegetables for their family at the local market.
Hunger.
A strong desire or craving for something, a feeling of discomfort or weakness caused by lack of food, a chronic condition of insufficient food intake and malnutrition.
Examples:
Hunger pangs. Chronic hunger. Many people in the world suffer from hunger and malnourishment every day.
Drought.
A long period of time during which there is very little or no rain, leading to a shortage of water and often causing damage to crops and other vegetation.
Examples:
Periods of drought. Drought conditions. The region has been experiencing a severe drought, leading to water shortages and crop failures.
Famine.
A severe shortage of food, often caused by drought, war, or economic reasons.
Examples:
Famine relief. Coal famine. The severe famine caused by the drought has left many people without food.
Prone.
Inclined or likely to do something or to show a particular characteristic, especially something bad, lying face downward.
Examples:
Accident prone. Prone to diarrhea. He was prone to making rash decisions.
Assert.
To state something firmly and confidently, often in a way that is intended to convince others that it is true.
Examples:
Assert a free society. Assert a claim for unjust enrichment. She asserted that she was innocent, despite the evidence against her.